I feel that this is like the ultimate test of beans. Will they work as an ice cream? Hey guys, it's Maddie from Let's Eat Plants, and today we are going to try making ice cream out of beans. So if you're newer to my channel, you may not know this, but last summer I bought an ice cream maker after wanting one for years, and I was kind of obsessed with making ice cream out of unusual ingredients. So far I've done ice cream out of sweet potato, zucchini, and even cauliflower. And now, being that it's bean month, I thought we should try and make an ice cream out of beans. So this is something that I've actually had on my mind for a little while now, and when I started doing research to see if a recipe like this already existed, I could not really find one. Of course, there are recipes that exist already that use beans in a sweet way, especially if you look at recipes from around the world, from other countries, but I could not find, in particular, a bean ice cream. Except for red bean. Red bean ice cream does exist, but I couldn't find it in the same texture or consistency that I was looking for, which is more like a traditional ice cream. So of course, to start this recipe, we are going to need beans, and I chose to use split yellow mung beans for this recipe because they are already quite small, so I thought it would therefore be easy to blend them into a very smooth consistency. And also I feel like I've seen them used in sweet recipes before, so I didn't think it was that far off to try and make them into ice cream. Now, is it possible to use other types of beans in this recipe? I think that it is, but it will definitely alter the recipe quite a bit. So since I haven't played around with it yet, I can't really advise on that at this moment. But I do think it's possible. I'm definitely thinking black beans are an option. So first I just measured out 1 cup of the yellow mung beans. In hindsight, I probably could have used less, but it did work out okay because I ended up making 2 batches of this ice cream. And then just give those a quick rinse, and then add those into the pot with 3 cups of water. And then just bring those to a boil and then turn down to a simmer. So I thought it would be a good idea to enhance the sweetness of these mung beans with a little bit of flavoring while they were cooking. So I decided to use some pandan leaves, which I already had in the freezer, which are a very nice complement to like vanilla flavors. So I also ended up using a little bit of vanilla extract in the cooking liquid as well. And that was just to have the beans hopefully absorb some of that flavor while they're cooking. Did it make a difference? I don't really know. I think on the next experiment, I would try more vanilla extract and probably leave out the pandan. I didn't really notice that much of a taste difference when I tried the beans just by themselves. And then when the mung beans were nearly done cooking, I added 1 cup of soy milk. And then at the very final stage of cooking, I added in 50 grams of rock sugar and a heaping ½ cup of white sugar. I think other sweeteners such as maple syrup would also work here as well. I just didn't know if this recipe was going to turn out, and I didn't want to waste that much maple syrup. So I decided to use a combo of rock sugar and white sugar. And then once the mung beans were fully cooked, I just set them to the side to let them cool. And then prepared the rest of the ingredients, which are going to be 1 can of coconut cream. Coconut cream is different from coconut milk in that it is thicker and a lot creamier, but I do often see it used in vegan ice cream recipes. It does really help the ice cream recipe if you have some kind of a fat in there. So something like coconut cream or cashews would usually be used. I do think that the next time I make this recipe, I would leave out the coconut cream. I know a lot of people don't like to use it and maybe don't like the flavor. And I also think that this recipe would have been just fine without it. Next, I'm adding some guar gum, which is optional. I actually purchased this last year when I was doing a lot of ice cream experiments because it does make your ice cream more scoopable and less icy. And while I do think it does improve the texture, it's not an essential ingredient. And now just adding some agar, which will help thicken the ice cream. This is also really great for making vegan cheeses and also for vegan jello. I do actually use this quite a bit on things other than ice cream. And then lastly, just adding some of this vanilla powder. You could also use vanilla extract, but I just find that this vanilla powder is really delicious and gives a little bit better flavor than vanilla extract. And now this was looking quite thick, so I actually did add 1 more cup of soy milk, and then just a pinch of salt for flavor and a tiny bit of this caramel extract. And then I'm just heating this on the stove 1 more time to make sure that agar is activated. And then I realized I had made way too much ice cream and that 1 cup of mung beans was way too much. So I decided to make a second batch and make that one chocolate because that is my husband's favorite flavor. And also I thought if there was any kind of residual bean flavor, chocolate's a very good way to hide it. So to the chocolate batch, I just added 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder and a ½ cup of vegan chocolate chips. And then once those are fully cooled, you can just pop them into the fridge and let them chill for a few hours. You want them to turn into a pudding-like consistency before you add them to your ice cream maker. Speaking of pudding, you could also just eat these as pudding once they've been refrigerated for a few hours. The consistency is like perfection for pudding. And once those had chilled for a few hours, I just added each one into the ice cream maker. and then into the freezer for a few hours to firm up. So let's go ahead and try this one. I'm trying the chocolate flavor first. It is quite soft. It's been sitting out for a while. Let's try this. Okay, the flavor is delicious. The flavor is on point. The texture, there is the slightest bit of graininess. If you've ever made hummus from scratch before and you can kind of taste a little bit of grittiness or graininess from the chickpeas, I'm kind of picking up on that in the texture, which of course you don't really want for an ice cream, but it's not bad. It's not a lot of graininess. It's just a very, very, very slight hint. Wow, I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. More successful than a lot of the other ice cream attempts I've made. If that graininess wasn't there, this would be like 10 out of 10. For a healthy vegan ice cream, I would say that's pretty good. Like I said, I think it needs a few tweaks before it's perfect, but we're pretty close. Okay, let's try the vanilla. I was wrong, you can taste the pandan. This definitely has a little bit of pandan flavor, which isn't bad. It's a very nice flavor. It complements the vanilla quite nicely. I think if you were to pair it with like a fruit or even add some fruit in here or something, it would make it a little bit better, but overall not bad. And then for texture, I think pretty much the same as the chocolate one. It's pretty good already. There's just that slight graininess that I think could be improved for the next version. But overall, I'm just impressed that this actually worked and we have successfully made ice cream from beans, and a pretty decent ice cream at that. Now, I did just briefly want to mention the health aspect of this ice cream. Like, I just want to put a disclaimer and say that I don't think this is like a health food. I don't think you should replace your regular dinner of beans with some bean ice cream. There is still sugar and like vegan chocolate chips in the chocolate version. However, adding beans, sneaking them in wherever you can is never a bad thing in my opinion. So I did put the full recipe in the description box down below if you guys want to check it out. Like I said, it probably needs some tweaking, but it is there in case you want to check it out or just see the quantities that I used. Now, if you're not quite ready for an ice cream recipe made of beans, you might want to check out this sweet potato ice cream instead. I've made it myself many times and other people have made it and told me it is delicious as well. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let's eat plants, and I will see you guys next time.